Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, you guys know the deal on this channel, man. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives. We cannot allow them to rewrite the history, y'all. And we must continue to put some respect on Michael Jordan. And in this video, we're going to continue, and I'm going to explain to you guys, man, and highlight another way that shows how Michael Jordan, once again, has done more with less than anybody else in history, guys. Than anyone else in history. This man has done more with less than anyone in history, guys. And we're going to talk about in this video. And I want to thank everyone out there, man. Everyone across the world. Everyone across the states, man. Much respect to everybody out there. I'm truly humbled by all the support, guys. For real, man. Truly, truly humbled. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, once again in this video, we're going to go over some more ways or another aspect that highlights how Michael Jordan, once again, has done more with less than anyone else in NBA's history, guys. And this is no disrespect to any of the all-time great players. These guys went out there and earned it, and they accomplished great things. A lot of these guys we consider top 5, top 10 players in NBA's history. When we think about some of these guys, though, I've always told you, Michael Jordan did more with less than any of them. Anyone you can think of, Michael Jordan did more with less. He did more. So, I posted a photo earlier of the 1990 All-Star game. And it got me thinking. I looked on the team, the roster, and you saw these guys. And when I noticed that the Detroit Pistons had 3 All-Stars, Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas. And the Boston Celtics had 3 All-Stars, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. And it got me thinking, wow, I didn't realize that those teams had 3 All-Stars at one time. I didn't realize that at first. I never thought about that way. So it got me thinking, how many other great players played on teams that had 3 active All-Stars? Guys who were playing at All-Star levels of their careers, whether they were Hall of Famers or not. And I started doing some digging, and when I realized, y'all, when you think about the top players in NBA's history, guys, the greatest players, the Will Chamberlains, the Bill Russells, right? We think about the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, Dr. J's, Jerry Wests. We think about some of these guys, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille. We think about some of these guys, Hakeem Olajuwon. I wrote some of this stuff down. LeBron James. I wrote some of these things down. All of these players have played on teams that had 3 All-Stars, active All-Stars on it for multiple seasons, or at least one season. 3 active All-Stars on their teams. Michael Jordan never played with 2 other All-Stars. Right? The Chicago Bulls never had 2 other All-Stars. The only year that they did was when? 1993-94, when Pippen was there and Jordan was gone. The year they tell us they only won a couple of less games, but they never remember, or they always fail to mention, that Chicago Bulls team had 3 active All-Stars. B.J. Armstrong, Horace Grant, and Scottie Pippen were on the All-Star team in 93-94. Michael Jordan never played in the Bulls with 2 other All-Stars, guys playing at that level at the same time. No. And we know that the All-Star selections for Horace Grant and a B.J. Armstrong were almost like a tip of the hat. They were 3-peat champions going into that season. Remember, they've never made an All-Star team after that or before that. They're not Hall of Famers or close to that. So when you think about some of these players, guys, and you think about something like a Bill Russell, for example. Bill Russell played multiple years on a Boston Celtics team that had 3 All-Stars on it. Whether it was 57-58 with Cousy, Russell, and Sharman, 60-61 when it was Cousy, Russell, and Heinsohn, 67-68 when it was Havlicek, Russell, and Sam Jones. 3 active All-Stars on these teams. So once again, you see that these players had help, right? Because that's what I want to highlight here. This idea that Michael Jordan's the only player in NBA's history that had help. They try to make it seem as if only Michael Jordan had help. Yes, Michael Jordan had help. He had Scottie Pippen, right? He had other players on his team, but so did other guys. And they actually had other active all-stars, multiple all-stars on their teams. Guys who are playing at high levels. And all of these guys are Hall of Famers. These are not fringe all-star guys that made one all-star team like a Horace Grant or a B.J. Armstrong. These are Hall of Fame all-stars playing at their peaks. A Tommy Heinsohn, a Bill Sharman, a Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, Sam Jones, John Havlicek. These are legends. We think about it, Wilt Chamberlain, who people will often tell you did not play or have as much help as a Bill Russell, but Wilt Chamberlain played with some great players, and he had played on multiple years with multiple all-stars on his teams. Whether we're thinking about the 59-60 Sixers with Wilt, Paul Arizin, and Tom Gola. All Hall of Famers, guys. Active all-stars with Wilt Chamberlain when he first came into the league. We think about 62-63 when it was Wilt, Tom Gola, and Guy Rogers. 3 active all-stars, all Hall of Famers. Or 68-69, right when he was on the Lakers playing with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Or a couple of years later when it was Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Gail Goodrich. So he played multiple seasons with multiple all-stars on his team, guys who are Hall of Famers that were playing at all-star levels at that time. Once again, Michael Jordan doing more with less than Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. It's obvious. The thing about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar not have any help? No, he had help. But 81-82, Kareem, Magic, Norm Nixon, all active all-stars, right? We think about 85-86, Magic, Kareem, Worthy, all active all-stars, all Hall of Famers. Or we think about 86-87, Magic, Kareem, and Worthy. 87-88, Magic, Kareem, and Worthy. These guys were playing on teams with multiple all-stars, playing in all-star levels, and these guys are Hall of Famers. They had help. Once again, Michael Jordan doing more with less than a Magic Johnson. And this takes away from nothing. These are the greatest players. I'm trying to highlight that Michael Jordan did not have more help or as much help, just like everybody else did. No one had less help. Like Michael Jordan didn't have more help than everybody else. These guys didn't have less help. They had great teammates. Larry Bird, did he ever play on a team? Yeah, we just talked about this. The 1990 Eastern All-Stars had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. But even if we want to go back before that, we can think about 84, 85, when it was Bird, Parrish, and Dennis Johnson, all Hall of Famers. Or if it was 85, 86, with Bird, Parrish, and McHale in their primes, all Hall of Famers. At their peaks, 87, 88, Bird, McHale, and Ainge. Then the next year, Bird, McHale, and Parrish again. These guys were playing with other all-star players. Active all-stars, playing Hall of Famers, playing at all-star levels. These were not Hall of Famers past their primes that weren't even making all-star selections. They were just there in name. These guys were there, playing at all-star levels. Think about LeBron James. Right? I wrote all this stuff down, guys. 2010, 2011. Right? Wade, Bosh, and LeBron playing on a super team, 3 all-stars. The Miami Heat were on a super team, 3 active all-stars. Michael Jordan's 98-90 Bulls, 1997-90 Bulls were a super team. They had 2 all-stars on that team. Dennis Rodman never made an all-star team with the Bulls because Dennis Rodman was never at his peak with the Bulls. His peak was in Detroit, where he won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards back-to-back, 2 titles back-to-back, and made 2 all-star teams on the Pistons. Never made an all-star selection on the Bulls. He was a very good player on the Bulls, but this was not peak Dennis Rodman, y'all. Right? This wasn't the Dennis Rodman that was guarding Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. This was a different Dennis Rodman. This wasn't the same Dennis Rodman. This was the Dennis Rodman where you got to run to Vegas and get him. The Dennis Rodman where you got to restrain this dude and get him under control. The mind game Dennis Rodman. That's what Michael Jordan had to deal with. So once again, LeBron James had 3 all-stars during his time era on the Miami Heat. playing a super team with two other All-Stars. Michael Jordan never had that luxury. Chris Bosh, a Hall of Famer, Dwayne Wade's a Hall of Famer, and these guys were playing at All-Star levels. But he had no help. 2016, 2017, another time LeBron James played in Super Team Cavs that they try to excuse him not being a super team. That year, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James were all All-Stars that season. So once again, guys, you can see how Michael Jordan did more with less than LeBron James. Did more with less than Larry Bird. How about Kobe Bryant? Well, one season Kobe Bryant played just like Shaquille O'Neal, where you have Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Nick Van Exel, and Eddie Jones. The interesting thing about that in the 1997-98 season is they had 4 All-Stars on that team, but they couldn't quite get over the Utah Jazz. Right? The Utah Jazz that Michael Jordan's Bulls beat. The Lakers couldn't get past that team. Right? You guys remember that? No, they don't want to talk about these things as it pertains to Michael Jordan's lack of competition in the NBA Finals. The Utah Jazz team that beat a Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, and a plethora of other players on that team that stepped in and played roles. No, this was not peak Kobe Bryant, but this was still very good Kobe Bryant. And this was peak Shaquille O'Neal. And a very good Nick Van Exel, and a very good Eddie Jones. And like I said, a host of other players. And they couldn't beat the Utah Jazz. But they played on that team with 3 other All-Stars Kobe played on that team. So did Shaq. Michael Jordan never played on a team like that. Let's think about Dr. J. Dr. J would play with, have some help? Yeah, Dr. J has some help. Dr. J in 82, 83 played with Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks, and James Toney. Now, James Toney, the other guys are Hall of Famers, obviously Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks. James Toney would probably be a Hall of Famer, but remember he had those horrific foot injuries, and it just took his whole career out. He only ended up playing like 5 or 6 seasons. But remember, he was nicknamed the Boston Strangler because of his impact against the Boston Celtics in those battles in the early to mid-'80s. It was Andrew Toney, that was out there hustling, playing that D, being that dog out there, playing with the grit, making an All-Star team 82, 83, 3 All-Stars on the Sixers. We think about 83, 84 when it was Dr. J, Moses Malone, and Andrew Toney again. So obviously there were multiple seasons where, he played with 2 other All-Stars. Once again, Michael Jordan doing more with less than a Dr. J. And once again, I have all these guys I have in my top 10. That's why I'm comparing Michael Jordan to them, to show you guys that they did not accomplish as much or do as much with less like Michael Jordan did. He won 6 championships with 1 All-Star teammate ever for his entire career. 1 active All-Star Hall of Famer, where these guys all play with Hall of Famers playing at All-Star levels. Michael Jordan played with guys like Horace Grant and Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, Ron Harper, guys who are good, but they're not Hall of Famers or perennial All-Star players. Hakeem Olajuwon, right? He never had any help, but one season he played with multiple All-Stars. We think about the 1996-97 season, right? When Hakeem, Drexler, and Barkley lost to the same team, the Utah Jazz, that Michael Jordan's Bulls beat in the finals. So Hakeem had played on a team with 3 active All-Stars, Barkley, Drexler, Hakeem, and they got beat by the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference Finals in 1997. The same Utah Jazz team that Michael Jordan would lead the Bulls over in the finals. With the flu game, right? All of these things. The game winner in game 1. But that Hakeem Olajuwon team could not beat them. Michael Jordan's Bulls beat them. Once again, Michael Jordan doing more with less. He beat that team that they couldn't beat with 1 All-Star teammate. We think about even Isaiah Thomas, guys, who I don't consider a top 10 player or anywhere close to that. But I just brought him up just because Isaiah Thomas always runs his mouth about how he's all great with Michael Jordan. He beat Michael Jordan, blah, blah, blah. He's always got something to say. Once again, Michael Jordan blows Isaiah Thomas out of the water in accomplishments. And did Isaiah Thomas ever play in a team with 3 All-Stars? Yeah, we talked about the 1990 Detroit Pistons, Rodman and Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. But also in 83, 84, when you had Bill Laimbeer, Kelly Tripucka, and Isaiah Thomas. And then also in 91, 92, when you had Thomas, Rodman, and Dumars again. So there were multiple years with Isaiah Thomas played with really good players. And obviously, Joe Dumars is a Hall of Famer. Dennis Rodman's a Hall of Famer. Bill Laimbeer is a borderline Hall of Famer, I would suppose. So yes, as you guys can see, man, these are all the guys. This is them. And I want you guys to think about something else that I noticed, is that Michael Jordan played against three of these teams. Three of these teams Michael Jordan played against. A team that had 3 active All-Stars where they were all Hall of Famers playing at All-Star levels. In 1990, they played against the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. 3 active All-Stars, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, all Hall of Famers. It was Michael Jordan and All-Star Scottie Pippen against them. Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, John Paxson, B.J. Armstrong. Michael Jordan played against that team. 1986, the Celtics, the 86 Celtics, who people consider one of the greatest teams of all time, right? If not the greatest team of all time. They had 3 active All-Stars, all Hall of Famers, right? Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. And we think about the 87 Celtics that Michael Jordan played against, once again, in the playoffs. Once again, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. So, guys, as you can see, man, once again, your boy Michael Jordan, right? This man literally has done more with less than anyone in history, and it's not even close, guys. That's just one aspect that I never even thought about when you just think about these things. The only person that I noticed, if I remember correctly, that wasn't on here that I looked into was Tim Duncan. But the thing about Tim Duncan, which was interesting, is that Tim Duncan played with, obviously, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and David Robinson, and many other players. But when we think about playing with 2 other All-Stars actively, the only reason why I believe he never did is because Manu Ginobili was a 6th man. Manu Ginobili could have been a starting shooting guard for any other team in the NBA at that time. And he would have been a Hall of Famer regardless, which he is. But he would have made more All-Star selections. I believe he only made 2, I want to say. But him and Tony Parker were alternating essentially. And like I said, Manu Ginobili was a 6th man of the year, I believe in 09, 08, maybe 08. So we all know that Tim Duncan had, if not the same amount of help, more help than Michael Jordan throughout his career to win his 5 championships. Once again, Michael Jordan accomplishing more than Tim Duncan with less. So much respect to all you guys. Shout out to Michael Jordan, the greatness of this man. Once again, all these guys I mentioned, they're all Hall of Famers they played with. These were not just, like I said, just a random All-Star selection. These are all Hall of Famers playing at All-Star levels. Right, guys? Think about this. Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen playing at an All-Star level for his entire career. This takes away nothing from the other guys he played with. They all played their roles. These are just the facts here. This takes away nothing from the other great players. That's why I chose those guys, because they're the greatest players to me. Right? The Kobe Bryants, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons, Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Hakeem, Tim Duncan, Dr. J. Jerry West. These are my guys. So for me, when I looked at that and I noticed it, I just thought it was interesting. Because like I said, there's other ways we can look at it also. That was just one way. So you guys know the deal, man. Once again, you guys know the deal. We must continue to set the record straight. Stop the lies and the narratives, man. Michael Jordan didn't have any more help than anybody else. They was talking about, oh, Michael Jordan had this guy. Where was he without this guy? He would have never won without this. Other guys had great teammates too, man. Multiple great teammates, more than Michael Jordan did. And these guys played for great coaches too, man. The Red Auerbachs, the Pat Rileys, the Chuck Daly's. Come on, man, stop it. Stop it right now. Let's not play these games. The Greg Popoviches. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.